Okie dokie. Hope you're all well. Um, I'll give you a little intro to myself because there's a few people on here, quite a few people on here that we maybe not know us or may know us a little bit. So I'm Nick. I'm the more intelligent, funny, charismatic one of PTMA. Anti's the angry northern one of the PTMA. You can see him there.
You were doing really well. Intelligent, I'll take. Definitely not funny. Like,
Well,
you don't take that crown away from me, son.
well, I'm laughing at myself, so I'm all right with that. So yeah, so just give you a brief overview, particularly about what we're going to go through today. We span over about 50 years worth of coaching experience. Obviously, we coach coaches now, have done for nearly 10 years now. So in regards to like what we're going to go through, it is from trial and error from both ourselves doing probably thousands of consultations and sales calls from a fitness coaching point of view, and also from a general business point of view when we're dealing with our own business as it stands right now. So there are literally thousands of points of data and pieces of experience that we put into this framework that we go through today. And also we've added in some behavior change and also some scientifically backed models to really help you. And ultimately it stems from selling without selling, right? And taking away that feeling of ickiness, of pushiness, of bringing up money and not feeling confident in pitching our service in a articulated way that really exudes kind of confidence for the person that's sitting or standing in front of us. So this is a really cool subject, and I never thought I'd say this about selling. And the reason why I've kind of changed my mind frame on this and viewpoint on this is because it is working and coaching people. And if you are sitting on this webinar, then you will definitely resonate with the coaching elements of what we do and how our kind of ethos behind it. So we're going to get straight into it. I'm going to, in fact, I'll do that in a second. I've got some resources for you. So we're going to go through the framework today. I'm going to add the resource into the chat function so you can download it and keep it. I am recording this session, so we will send you the recording as well so you can watch it back. And obviously we'll take any questions throughout. So just use the chat function for that throughout the session, guys. Okay, so we will definitely be finished, as it says, in the next 54 minutes or before, and have lots of questions and bits and pieces in between. So first thing I wanted to bring up is this little quote down the bottom there is, people don't buy coaching, they buy belief in themselves. And that is a huge thing that I want to kick things off with. And it is one of the biggest mistakes that I see, not only in our front end marketing, but also in our consultations or sales calls. And I will paint a little bit of a picture for you now and give me some feedback in the chat. A normal consultation process that I see a lot of is we go through goal setting, we go through the question answer trap, we gather information, we then start to tell people about our service, and then we start to like pitch our price point at the end. That type of kind of structure, right? Just give me a yes, no, indifferent if that sounds like a similar or familiar structure that you are using currently. Quick as we can in the old chat, guys. Yeah. Great, Lydia. Yes, it's familiar. Brilliant. Awesome. Okay, so that's a good thing because we can help you a hell of a lot just through this session alone. So agenda today is going to be, first of all, selling our service for more buy-in and understanding. Now, the reason I'm not sitting here going sell, 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 and large ticket options and so forth and so forth, is because I think there's a big difference between selling and selling when people are more bought into the whole process and understand the whole process. There is a vast difference between those two things, in my opinion. I've done traditional sales training, working in corporate America, getting 21 yeses, getting them to nod with you, mirroring their body language, really driving home pain points. A, doesn't feel good. B, it also gets people to buy, but it doesn't get people to buy in the right way, okay? I am sure every single one of you sitting here wants people to buy in a way that they are bought into the coaching process, right? They understand what the check-ins are there for. They understand what problem this is going to solve, and so forth and so forth. And they're really, really frigging excited to get going. I am sure you're all sitting here wanting that. And so that's my first point, is to get more buy-in and understanding of the process they're going to go through, not just to sell them any old program. Less justifying of the process. I found myself, again, back in the day, trying to justify why my price point is there and why they should do this and why they should do that. And it just doesn't feel good trying to convince someone and trying to pull someone over to the way that I see things. So this process and framework is going to help you stop having to justify or feeling you're going to have to justify the process. More of the right sales, as I've said, more of the right people into your business. Not every sale is going to go through. You're not going to sell to everybody, and that's a bloody good thing as well. We want the right people in our business, but we want the right people in at the right price point, at the right program, and the right buy-in level. And a huge one to keep in the back of your mind, and to even write down or make a mental note of, it's a collaboration, not a pitch. And again, this will make real good sense as we move throughout this session. And to couple all that off with a final kind of statement, ultimately, this isn't about sales. It's not about convincing. It's not about the Wolf of Wall Street, selling them a pen. It is about communication. And communication is about speaking and listening. And what we're going to take you through here is going to give you a really, really good framework of knowing how much to do of each one, and what the benefits are of that process. So remember, communication is a skill. Skills aren't inherent. We need to practice skills, review skills, so we can get better at them. And this isn't just about the sales process. This is about behavior change. This is about helping clients through problems. There genuinely is no difference. This is just a setup of that entry point of someone coming into your business. So the first thing I wanted to step things up with is considerations and mindset, okay? And I've got one question I want to ask you all to pop into the chat. Right now, how do you like to be sold to? Fill the chat with what your opinions and viewpoints are of that. Right now, you personally, how do you like to be sold to? Off we go. Pop into the chat for me. Do you like to be pushed? Do you like to be coerced? Do you like the person to be confident? Do you need to believe in what they're positioning? Not too pushy? Yep, brilliant. So not too pushy. Do you need to understand why people are saying things to you? Like to be shown the value? Brilliant, awesome. Need to trust the person or company I'm buying from? 100%. Jess, inspiring? Absolutely, mate. Come on, what else? 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 What needs to be a part of that process? Think of like a service you bought into before, or a person you bought into before, or even like buying a car or going through getting your first mortgage or whatever. Trust and like. I like to read reviews. Great stuff. Do you feel like you would need to feel someone is genuine? Do you feel like you're talking to a person versus a script? All of those little things. This is really, really, really important for you guys, because the way you like to be sold to is probably the way you like to then sell, right? So having these things, trust, like, honesty, fantastic. Like to read reviews. So again, look at your own sales process right now and think about, have I got reviews? Have I got the honesty in that scenario? Have I built up enough trust? Have I built up enough like? Am I inspiring? Am I being a bit pushy? All those things, what comes into building trust? Now, obviously, that what precedes getting to this point of a sales call or consultation is your marketing, is your awareness. Okay. Now, we're not going to go down the whole road of marketing today, because that is not the objective. But one massive thing that I think as fitness professionals and business owners is a sometimes a really difficult thing is the marketing and awareness, and not having that kind of objective behind it. And these are crucial things that if you're getting someone to a sales call or a consultation, or even if you're not getting the volume of sales calls or consultations, look back at what you've just written down there. Those are probably the things that are missing within your awareness and marketing: honesty, reviews, trust, belief, understanding, personality. Those are the things that need to be included in your marketing to get people to this point. Because if we think of those things for you guys are as big objections and obstacles, well, our marketing is doing the job of bringing those barriers and those objections down before they even get there to the sales call. So these are really, really important things, and hopefully everybody resonates with that. And the first massive point you can take away from today is, if I am getting people to the point of a sales call or consultation, have I brought down those barriers? Maybe not completely, but has my marketing done that job? Have I shown enough social proof? Have I shown enough personality? Have I been really, really frequent? Have I built trust in what I can deliver and how I deliver it? These are huge, huge factors that need to be included in those elements. Don't chase the sale. It is, you can feel when people are chasing, can't you? You can feel when things are panicky. Don't chase the sale, right? You're not selling something people don't want. And I think, again, it is a massive, massive thing to remind ourselves of, is that in the UK alone, our market is around 14 to 15 million people. Now, currently, there's around 25 on average 1,000 personal trainers or coaches in the UK. Do the maths there. There's a big enough market for everybody to have a phenomenal business, and there is enough demand there year on year that's going up. So Pete, what you're selling is something that a lot of people want and need. Okay, that is a huge, huge thing to keep in the back of your mind. And relax, you're only having a conversation. And again, very easy for myself and Anne to sit here and kind of make that statement, but hopefully as we go throughout this kind of session, you understand what we mean by that, and also how to facilitate that conversation versus panic sell at the end. Oh God, I've got to position my price point now, shit, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And anything to add in, mate?
No, the only thing I would add is that, listen, it's very, very easy for us to sit here and go, relax, you're only having a conversation, when you're like desperate for money to pay bills and you have financial targets that you want to hit. And every single consultation you're filled with expectation and hope. There's nothing wrong in that, right? But what we need to do, and we'll provide you with the tools for that, or some of them today, is have an element of self-awareness on that it is only a conversation. I think also having self-awareness on all of the stuff that you've just said there in regards to how you like to be sold to. A lot of personal trainers get a lot of cold leads, and people who will book consultations out of nowhere. And as a result of that, the sale won't meet your expectations because all of the stuff that you've just mentioned about being like to be sold to isn't present. So I think sometimes we have to be self-aware that we haven't got the right to have our expectations and hope built, and a level of, I don't know, anxiety around how this is going to go if all of them things haven't been ticked before. And that's where a lot of kind of sales calls, I prefer to call them consultations, break down because of that level of awareness that we've gone in looking for the sale within that sales call or consultation, when in reality, we probably haven't done all of the connecting and all of them pieces first. So that's not met our expectations. So therefore, we think we're crap at this process. We're just not checking into reality. So apart from just reaffirming them points, natural to feel the way you feel, but just try and practice that element of self-awareness first.
100%. And this is a part of the process we're going to build out. And we've tried to kind of narrow this down to the most important things for you to take away today and see the structure. And I've also got, as I said, a resource that's going to fill in a lot of gaps that we haven't kind of got time to squeeze into an hour. So the first thing that, again, continuing on from those kind of considerations and really, really big things that we see that really just completely kill the sales process and that belief that someone can deliver the results for them, is the very first thing is start with active listening. It is probably one of the most underutilized things you could do to build massive, quick trust with someone. Like the most important thing and the most impactful thing that people get that you can do to build rapport and build trust is listen to someone. The biggest thing, right? The biggest single thing you can do is do that. So actively listening is probably one of the hardest skills that we can develop. And the first thing you need to do is remove your agenda. Remove that agenda of, shit, is someone going to buy at the end of it or not? What are they going to buy? Am I going to have to discount? Are they going to have 1 session, 2 sessions, 3 sessions? Are they going to go for my program instead of my full service? Whatever it is, remove your agenda. It is so important, hard to do, so important to do. Remove your agenda, because what that will enable you to do is listen to understand and not listen to respond. And there is a huge difference between the two things. If you're in a consultation, and guys, give me some feedback on this. If you're in a consultation and someone is talking, are you sitting there thinking about what to say next? Just pop it into the chat, yes or no. Are you sitting there thinking about, yeah, what can I say? Yeah, Jess, great. Keep going. Are you sitting there thinking, oh, what am I going to say next? How am I going to, yeah, see how you go. Not always. This is massive, right? You shouldn't need to know what to say next, okay? Now, if you're listening to understand, naturally, you'll then be inquisitive to find out more about what that person's just saying. And we've got some framework, again, that will kind of go through to really, really help that. And immediately when we put ourselves into that position, stress comes down, anxiety comes down, apprehension comes down, and we feel more relaxed than having that conversation immediately when we're not thinking about the next thing, because what you're doing is you're tuning into that person. And again, when we are tuning into that person and actively listening, we are building more rapport. We are opening that person up more, which is a huge, huge thing. A lot of you mentioned about having trust and honesty as being important thing as part of the buying process for you. This is the very first thing that you can do to lead to that. You guide and lead by asking open questions, being appropriately curious. In this situation, in a sales call, in a consultation, whatever you're labeling it as, you need to be appropriately curious. And the only way you're going to do that is by asking open questions. The only way we're going to ask open questions is by actively listening about what people are telling us. Okay. Put the wants and needs of the prospects first, and the financial return will come later. I promise you this. If you put the wants and needs of that person sitting in front of you first, you will find a solution for them they will believe in, and the financial return will come later. As Ant mentioned earlier, if there's a higher level amount of pressure on the front end, all we're thinking about is, right, how am I going to position this price point? I'm feeling nervous about bringing the money up because I don't know this person, or I haven't built rapport, or I think they can't afford it, or whatever the other kind of obstacle is. And you are using a pre-consult info and working through the prospects past, present, and future. That is the first bit of framework that we're going to work on: past, present, future. And one of the things that is ridiculously important for you guys to get is out of the question and answer trap. Okay. Now, a question and answer trap is, right, Lydia, you're here today. We're going to go through ... Right. How many hours of sleep do you get, Lydia? Right. 8. Let me write that down. Okay. How many steps do you do a day, Lydia? Right. 10,000. Right. What's your workout? You train 3 times a week. Talk to me about your meal plan. Talk to me about your sleep pattern. Talk to me about your hydration. All I'm doing there is getting into a question and answer trap. It's just it's a transfer of information constantly. And what that doesn't do is allow building up of understanding of that person, letting the person speak, and building that rapport and understanding. And that will only come if you gather the right level of information before they even get to that sales call or consultation. So it is huge, huge, huge. So again, second big point there is gather that information before they get to that sales call or consult. And anything to add?
The only thing to add is just on that fourth point there, and I want people to put their opinions in the chat really quickly. I don't want to take too much time up with this, right? But if you think about what job or what career do you think of from a hard sales perspective and think that that's like icky, pushy? Like, what are the first jobs that come up in mind that are like that, where they are pushy salespeople? What roles? Put it into the chat for me. Right. Okay. Every time, right? Every time. Like, how many of you have bought a car or been to a car showroom in the past? Probably 5 years. It's very different now compared to how it was 10 years ago. And the reason for that is that what you just put in there, right? Straight away, both of you are like, bang, then, right? Now, if you go into any car showroom, I'm generally speaking here now, but they will always now put your wants and needs at the very forefront of everything they do. It's very relaxed now. It's how are you? It's building a picture of you, your life. If you've got your kids with you, they'll ask about them, they'll engage in what they're interested in. And it's all about building a picture with no real pressure. It's really informal. There's no pressure to it at all, because they realized that what they were doing, everyone built a level of skepticism and a wall up against it, right? So even that industry now that has the worst reputation for it knows that that doesn't work anymore. So us as coaches and personal trainers and running coaching businesses, we have no reason to feel like we are coming across in that way, because what's our best interests? The best interest of us is having the client at the center of everything that we do, right? Why? Because we want to get them a result. And how do we enable that result to happen? We need to build a huge picture, a massive picture of them, their life, their situations, scenarios, their mindset, their beliefs, everything. And with that, that takes the pressure away from sales and puts it more in the hands of you, the coach, because you, the coach, your job primarily is to gather information to positively affect behavior change. It's never about sales in that moment. So just keep that in your mind. Like, there is no view or opinion on you or pressure on you to be salesy, to be icky, to be pushy, to put pressure on people. That's not the environment that we work in. The environment that we work in, or that we are trying to lead you towards with this is no longer viewing yourself with that mindset. It's viewing yourself as the coach, which leads this perfectly.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's a really good point. It's a really, really good point. I think that stigma always comes from within and what we perceive, but in reality, like again, guys, you're never going to come across pushy or salesy if you don't want to be. And it's about as simple as that. Like asking for the business is that not asking for the business is doing a disservice to the person sitting in front of you. It's like you've taken them through this amazing thing and then you haven't kind of gone confidently, this is what you need. You're actually just doing them a disservice at that point. But we'll kind of get onto the structure of this now. What I've just done, guys, I've just dropped in to the chat a document you can all download, and effectively that's kind of filling the gaps of like a question bank and communication styles and tips, and you'll kind of fill in the gaps of what's in this section here. So the first thing, we tried to put in some really simple acronyms for you to understand and remember. Communication style, the first one is, hopefully you've got that from the previous slide, is the C of that is connect authentically. You know, when they're first coming in, how's your day been? Small talk, take the pressure off. It's just a relaxed chat about where you are and where we want to go. Finding out about you. You know, some of you guys that work with us already, when you come into a consultation with us, it will be as simple as that. Listen, we just want to find out about you. That's it, right? Observe their story and language is O. So I noticed you said tired a few times. Can you tell me more about that? Now, again, what this is that active listening. Now, if I'm picking up on these things constantly, it opens up the channels for more understanding of that person. And when I get more understanding of that person, I get a high level of trust because I'm listening and they hear me listening. And when I come to building out the program and overcoming those obstacles, it is incredibly relevant and specific to that person and what they're going through. All right. So again, I noticed you said tired a few times. Can you tell me more about that? Open question, taking them further. Ask deeper questions. So what's made this a priority for you right now? And again, guys, if you've got that document up, you'll see a ton more of examples of this during that document. Clarity, clarity of what success looks like to you. What would change in your life if you reached your goal? Quite a deep question, but a massively, massively important style of question. We're reframing that weight loss, that number on the scale, that dress size, that looking in the mirror into what it's going to actually give them moving forward. And help them choose next steps, what feels like a good first step to take. And this is probably, if you're going to take anything out of today, this is probably one of the biggest points, and we'll kind of elaborate on. So communication style, connect authentically, observe their story. So basically actively listening, ask open questions to get them to elaborate so you can find out more, clarify what success looks like, and help them make the choose the next steps with you. Okay, so coaching style of communication. And this is the kind of the reason why this is so important. What you're looking at here is, you know, we're probably very much anti-scripts, and it's probably one of the reasons why you're sitting here. We're very anti-script, but we're not anti-preparation, and we're not anti-planned. This is really big difference. Scripts are forced and inauthentic, can be. Planned is structured, and you're taking the person through a journey for them to understand how they need to get to where they want to be. So a spontaneous, a lot of the time, is emotional. High pressure, high stress, high anxiety from us, the person, which then comes across to that client and ultimately leads us to usually discounting or usually putting some form of kind of program that doesn't really relate to the person. So we want to go planned and instrumental. Why? Because that is going to lead us to be able to apply the 80-20 principle. So an 80-20 principle is very, very simple. We want that person sitting in front of us to be talking 80% of the time. And we want to be talking 20% of the time. 20% of what we are saying is not convincing or justifying or pushing. 20% of that is asking really great questions. And most of the time, elaborating and paraphrasing back what they've just said and leading them to open up more. That is the 20%. It's not actually selling. So this is where the selling without selling comes in. The 80% is the person elaborating on what they're going through, where they are, what's worked, what hasn't, where they want to go, what their barriers are. And your 20% is questions, paraphrasing, confirmation, and leading. Okay.
The biggest mindset shift that helped me with all of this part that we're going through at this moment in time that might help a few of you is that, like, I've just mentioned there about the car salesman stuff and all of that. That's selling, right? The thing that we need to do in the coach framework, if you just go back a step, Nick, for me for 2 secs or 2 clicks, or 3 clicks, so's pal. That there, right, is connecting authentically. Like, if you got into this industry, it's because you probably wanted to help people. Now, to help people, you have to understand people, beyond a point of wanting to talk about flipping steps, macros, calories, and all of that. Like, we want to understand people. We want to get to know them. And I think what's really important within this process that you're seeing at the minute is that, like, the way car salesmen have gone is like they know they needed to be more relaxed, conversational, get to know people, all of that type of stuff. Now, that's the way sales has gone, but it also plays into our hands as coaches, because that really helped me change the perception of going, actually, I don't like being sold to like a car salesman. So this is how I like to be sold to, which is getting to know them, really being authentic. Someone's going to go out the way to be authentic, right? Really listen to understand, look as though they care, all of that type of stuff. Actually, if I have that mindset as a coach, I don't need to come across salesy. I'm just getting to know people. I'm asking really open questions. And with asking open questions, I'm only speaking 20% of the time and listening for the majority of it, and then digging into a little bit more of an understanding behind their responses. Now, that really aligned with me, right? Because I hated salespeople, but I, as a coach, knew I needed to gather a massive amount of understanding about people. So it removed an element of pressure. It removes pressure from going, I really need to get this sale. I really need to make this sale or make this money. It's not that anymore. It's, I really need to gather as much understanding about this person as possible. Why? Because my role as a coach is I need to understand and enable behavior change for someone to be really confident that I can lead this person to get results. And it starts with these conversations. And that should remove the fear and the pressure and the overwhelm of, oh, I need this person in my business. I need to sell to them. It's not about that. Like, it's about building this huge picture, and it starts with this coach model and it carries on to Nick's next point of going, right, but so I don't get overwhelmed and so I don't just end up forcing questions and it goes around in a circle. I do need some element of framework to follow, because otherwise, if you're anything like me, of anyone watching this now and watching it back, I can have a conversation about people's goals and getting to know people all day long, and it'll just go around in a circle. So it does need to lead somewhere, right? And this brings him on to the next point.
Yeah, and I'm going to whiz through this section. These are just kind of common practices. But guys, just give me some feedback in the chat so we know who does sales calls virtually online, who does it video calls, who does it face-to-face, who does a mixture, just so we kind of know, and I'll kind of rattle through these little bits of kind of tips and points and get onto the main bits. Lydia, video calls, yeah. Phone calls, then in person, yeah. Okay, I think 2 things that I would suggest, yeah, video. I would massively choose video calls over probably majority of options. Reason is you can see facial expressions, you can get people in an uninterrupted environment, usually in their own home. So it's a massive advantage, and that's from like probably doing consultations video consultations for, I don't know, 8 years, something like that. And previous to that, all face-to-face. But if you're doing face-to-face, sorry, I said I'll go through this quickly. If you're doing face-to-face, just make sure whatever space or room you're doing is prepped. Paperwork, water, coffee. Like, again, like if you go into a garage now, they will have really nice like social areas, coffee bars themselves to make people feel comfortable with that customer experience element to it. When you're meeting them, meet and assess their mood. Seating position is going to be really, really important. If you're online, as I said, video calls are incredibly important. Prep them for what's going to happen. Like, make sure you tell them being in a place for a video call where you're not going to have distractions. Set expectations of how long it's going to last. Be prepared with like going through their pre-consult information. Reconfirm what's going to happen and the outcome. Like, don't hide behind that. Be confident and forward with that in regards to what the aim of that conversation is going to be. And always lead, but also allow the person to start where they want to start. And that's huge, because they're going to probably pick up on things that is most important to them, which we'll kind of go on to in a second. So the first, and this is the main kind of context and main things that I want you to get the framework over to you. So use the information on the prospects, past, present, and future. We and they need to understand the detail behind, first of all, what do they want? Okay. Now, I know every single one of you sitting here will go, yep, I go through goals. I can promise you that you need to reframe and need to relook at how you do goal setting. I would say 95% of client issues come around through not going through this in more detail at the beginning, right? It is probably the cause of issues and adherence problems for 95% of people that go through. Like, every time you have an issue and talk through coaches' issues with clients, it probably always comes back to that root issue. Once we've gone through the what, we need to understand, and more importantly, that person sitting in front of us needs to understand why, right? So the what is usually an externally driven goal, right? What they look like, what the scale weights say, what the dress size is, what they look like in the mirror, the external kind of factors. And those things are important and they're justified. But the why, that emotional anchor to that goal is incredibly important. That's the thing that's going to motivate them. That's the thing that's going to entice and get them into the process-based things. Like, what is going to give them the feeling of confidence, in what environment, who with, how it's going to affect their relationships, how is it going to affect their confidence at work, so forth and so forth. The why is huge behind that. So what they want, why they want it. The barriers and challenges they are facing, this is your single biggest link between where they're at now and linking their problems and achieving their goals through your service. Okay, the barriers and challenges they are facing is the single biggest link between them and them believing that your service is that route to success. Okay, so it's literally breaking down that belief barrier, and together building out the solution, i.e. your service, which is going to enable them to see their goal as achievable. Remember what I said right at the beginning of this session. It's not about sales. It is about them believing they can achieve it. If they believe they can achieve it through the mechanism of your service, the I can't afford it mindset doesn't exist, because now they value it wholeheartedly, right? It's too expensive isn't it's too expensive. It's I don't believe I can achieve this yet. And that leads to I don't value what you're positioning wholeheartedly yet. So this process is incredibly important. And this can be explained very, very simply through the bridge model. Okay, now this is a coaching model you can look up, and again, on that document, I've given you some really specific questions in each section. So just visualizing this now, we've got their current situation, right? Where are you now? What's happened? Their past and present challenges. We've got where they want to go, their desired situation. And we've got the challenges and objections, which is that wall which is stopping them, right? Both taking action and believing they can achieve it. Your goal through this process is to understand this in detail, understand where they want to go and why, and to take that down, right? So now this becomes highly desirable, it becomes much more believable, and in turn, the value of what you're positioning goes through the roof. Okay? It's so important to visualize and understand this is all we are doing in a sales call or a consultation. Guys, this makes sense. And is everyone on track with and following us on this so far? Just give me a thumbs up in the chat, or can you explain that a little bit further? Obviously, we will go into a bit more detail on each section. But so far, are we all following along okay? As quick as you can, thumbs up from everyone in the chat. Yeah, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Awesome, 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 awesome.
Can I just jump in really quickly?
Yeah.
Can I just give you a practical example of that, right? Because what we're talking about is selling without selling. Listen, sales is a part of your job, regardless if we like it or not. But how do we make it not feel like sales? Well, we coach, right? We coach and build a massive understanding of people. Whilst we're building an understanding of people, we try to identify the problems and the barriers and the beliefs and everything that they have. Just in the chat, right? I want you to put in the chat now, what are the biggest common barriers? If I was to say to your client sat in a consultation right now, what could get in the way of you getting to them goals where you want to be? What are the usual responses? What are the biggest barriers that could get in the way that could prevent you from getting to your goals? What are the usual responses that people say to you? Put it into the chat really quickly. Time, schedule, time, being consistent, lifestyle. What do you mean by that, Nicholas? In regards to lifestyle, define it. Time, motivation. Okay. Okay, cool. So what I would expect now from a business owner is to have a problem, have a solution to that problem, right? So if you were to go, okay, so these are the time and schedule issues, what parts of your service? So Tiago, I'm talking about the specific barriers to their goals. So if I was to say to your clients, your goal is to lose fat, is to look better in clothes, feel better, all of that type of stuff, what things could get in the way of you achieving that goal, right? What specific things in your day-to-day life could get in the way of you achieving them goals, right? So if the common one is time, schedule, behaviors, what do you mean by behaviors? Specific things, right? You would normally, they're the replies that you get. Now, I'm going to throw this right back on you. What features within your service as coaches, as a coaching business owner, solve them problems? Put it into the chat. What features solve them problems that you have in your business? Because let's be real, if you haven't got solutions to them barriers, you're pretty fucked, aren't you? Let's be honest. Hopefully you've got some solutions to them. Okay, so home workouts are one in regards to reducing time. What else have you got in your business to solve them specific barriers that them clients have got? Personalized plans that could reduce the time, I'm guessing. What else? Okay, here we go, Jess. Meal prep, delivery service, meal prep ideas, okay, to reduce time. What else could you offer a client within your service to overcome that barrier? Home time efficient workouts, building a program with clients, input. What do you do with clients to overcome that barrier? What else? Yeah, and what you've given me initially, the lot of you have given me surface level barriers, all right? Think about what clients will give you, right? And it's hard on a webinar. But a lot of clients will give you certain things like, I'm rooted to my desk all day, so I hardly move. I can only train after work and I feel tired, deflated, and not very motivated. I can only train first thing in the morning, and sometimes it's really hard to get up. I have a lack of energy, so sometimes I haven't got the motivation. I really struggle to stay on track with my food. I really have this binging cycle where if I have a bender at the weekend, it fucks my food up for the week. These are all specific barriers, right? And then within your service, you'll have features that helps them overcome them barriers. But what we have to do is collaborate by connecting what that is to the program, and then we build it. So then we're selling without selling, right? Sorry, I've jumped in there, Nick, and took too much time, but I just wanted to give you a practical example of going, these are the issues, the barriers, and the things that are going to get in the way. This is how I connect the solution to that without at the end of the sales call going, well, I have personalized programs, meal prep, this and that, and it's this much. Then that becomes a problem. Okay. We're selling, but doing it in a way that I've just gone through, it feels like you're no longer selling and just connecting a problem with a solution. That's it. And you're collaboratively building the service out. Sorry, pal.
No, it's relevant because it's one of the things that as I said previously, it is the biggest thing that is going to break down those obstacles, break down those belief barriers, and that person to see and understand that the check-in that you've been talking about does this and solves this problem. Now it's highly valuable because it is solving a direct problem for that person. It's probably the biggest thing, right? So I'm going to whiz through a couple of these guys because of time, because I promised we would be on time, and that's just robbed on the time. So first thing is obviously the bridge model is where we are now, where we want to go, and what's stopping them getting there. Okay, that is the bridge model. We're understanding that desired outcome, the why behind it. We're understanding where they're at currently. We're understanding about what those barriers are stopping them. And our job through this process, as Ant just pointed out, is to start to strip those barriers down and for them to start to see through that wall that goal is now achievable. Okay. Now, that is essentially them telling you what they need. Okay. So instead of me kind of going, right, we need this and need this, as you can see here, the bridge model what did you say? Acronym. Go on.
I want you to carry on struggling. Go on.
Yeah, you know, the fucking one anyway. B, build trust. Again, I'm reiterating and repeating a couple of these things constantly because we need to hear it multiple times. Build trust. Tell me a bit about what you brought you here today. Reveal their goals. What would success look like in 3 months? Huge thing, by the way. What would success look like to you? Investigate the barriers. What stopped you achieving this before? What do you perceive stopping you in the future? Design their future. Let's talk about a realistic and exciting plan. Guide them with options. What kind of support do you think would help the most? Guys, write that question down. It's probably the most important question you can ask in that process. What kind of support do you think would help the most? They are then going to tell you, I need this. I think I could do with that. Takes away all the guessing game. They're literally telling you what they want. It is the biggest, most simplest question we can ask, and what probably gets the biggest result on the back end. Engage, commitment. Would you like to hear how we could work together, how that would look like? So again, bridge model, build trust, reveal their goals, investigate barriers, design their future, guide them with options. Big point, mental note to take, and engage, commitment. If we can, lead the conversation to start with the prospect's goals. I don't think I need to kind of reiterate on that, save a bit of time going through this. Thanks. You can blame Ant for that. Cheers. So, current circumstance, a little bit of context on that first point in the bridge model. And guys, I've given you that document where it gives you lots and lots of different examples to choose from. So again, the what and the why, their desired outcome. We do the what. Tell me in more detail about your goal. What does good look like to you? How do you think you will measure the success? What expectations do you have regarding time and the inputs that are needed or reasonable to reach your goal? Four questions that will probably give you more information than you've ever had before, just on their goal, right? Just on what it is, their expectations of what they think they need to do going forward. It could very simply be an expectation, which I think happens more often than not. They think they have to do way more than they actually need to get that goal. And so by stripping that down for them and making them understand and helping them see that path usually brings a massive amount of value and a massive amount of belief. Because what we are doing, in fact, I'll get to that in a second. The why, tell me why this goal is important to you. Tell what will that give you that you haven't got now. Look into the future. How will this make you feel? How will this affect different areas of your life? How will you measure success? Again, what we have got here is the what in detail. Never go off the first answer. Okay. In previous sessions when we've taught this and coached this before, I would always say the 5 to 7 whys. You know, the first 2 or 3, you'll probably hear surface level answers like I feel I need to, or I need to get fit, or I want to feel healthier. But then as you start to ask why constantly in different ways, the answers will start to slow down because they've got to think about it and they'll become more meaningful. So usually that comes about between the kind of 5th and 7th why of you asking the real kind of crux of the reason. Don't give up at that point, because that's when they're starting to really open up. Red flags in goal setting in this section is go beyond the surface level based goal, which I just mentioned. Zoom in on the detail. Elaborate on that for me. Tell me a little bit more what you mean by that. Have you ever achieved that in the past? How did that feel? Like, these are all, again, that 80-20 split, 20% questions, paraphrasing back, 80% the client getting to open up. Suggesting at the end of an open question, are the goals really fucking exciting? Like, if your client or prospect is sitting there and they're not buzzing about their goal, you're probably not asking the right questions or getting to the root of the issue. Are the goals broken down past 3 months? How are they measuring success? Understanding their level of belief achieving their goal. Sorry, spelling mistake there. Their goal. That's a huge one, right? One question that I've used a hell of a lot is on a scale of 1 to 10, because the scale of 1 to 10 of how important this goal is, it's kind of arbitrary, that one is. But if you follow up with a question of, right, on a scale of 1 to 10, you can do this in your pre-consult. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being 100%, I believe I can get where I want to be. How much do you believe? Rate your belief on where you can achieve, on what you think you can achieve that goal. And what you'll find is that number is always lower than what the importance is. And a simple way of understanding how you can break the belief barrier down is going, right, what would need to happen for your belief to skyrocket to 10? And again, this opens up such an incredible conversation, because they're just going to be like, right, I need to see results relatively quickly. I need to feel like it's simplified so I can do it. They're telling you exactly what they need and exactly what they want. And it's a huge, huge area, because this just allows you to be guided by the client. I'm not going to ask Ant to elaborate on that. So again, a simple, whatever that word is, I can't pronounce, acronym. That's the one, isn't it? Acronym. On setting strong goals is the path. So personal, why is it important to you personally? Achievable, what's realistic for you to commit to right now? Time defined, when would you love to feel like you're making progress? And heart connected, how will it emotionally how will it feel emotionally to get there? So again, when you're building out those kind of structure in your goal setting, hyper focus on that. I know everybody learned SMART goals in their level 3. They are not enough. If you're using SMART goals only, it is simply not enough. Okay, simply not enough. Structure's good, smart, measurable, attainable, realistic, time domain, but the emotional anchor, which is incredibly important for anything, isn't there included in SMART, which hopefully you can kind of see in the past couple of slides what we've done there, okay? Now, again, we've built out what they want. We've built out why they want it. They're really excited about getting this thing and feeling this way and blah, blah, blah. Now breaking the belief barrier and building the solution together. Again, this is where they are going to sell themselves, and we don't have to do any convincing or justifying or coaxing, okay? So as examples, and again, guys, I've given you loads of different types of questions in the document to fill in some gaps and to find what works with you best. But the first thing is breaking the belief barrier, right? And again, if I can break down that barrier, remember that wall, and I can elaborate and allow them to believe that they can achieve this thing, and they can see past it, the value of what I can deliver, and the trust in me has just now gone up another tenfold. And what happens is now, what maybe was really, really, really expensive and I couldn't afford it before, starts to become more realistic, more valuable, yeah? Between now and X time, what do you feel could stop you achieving that goal? And very simply, you listen, you actively listen, you hear, you paraphrase back so they know you're listening. Great. What support do you feel you need from me? Looking at a regular week, how much time, because everyone brought up time. Looking at a regular week, how much time do you think you can invest into a program? What that is long lasting and that you'll be able to, and that will be something that becomes a way of life. Again, what you're doing is you're not sitting there going, right, we need to do 5 times a week. We need to do hours in the gym. Like you guys just said there, you've got lots of solutions for people. Well, figure out what's going to be best for them. What's going to help them overcome that barrier. Talk to me about the past diet program you were on and why you feel it wasn't sustainable. So again, we're looking into past patterns as well. So again, massive, massive point here, which is probably the kind of nucleus of this session and structure, is breaking down the belief barrier. And then building the solution together. So again, the solution, offer realistic suggestions, avoid telling and more guiding. So an example of that might be, right, so this is one of the key things that that stopped you before and that you actually see stopping you again. Okay, you suggested and said that you want this type of thing involved. Could I give you a couple of suggestions of what that might practically look like going forward? Great. We got this, we got this, we got this. What do you think would work best for you moving forward? That one? Great. Let's dig into the detail of what that might look like. What's just happened there? They have told me what they want. I haven't sold them anything. They're selling themselves on the solution going forward. And we are then getting a really, really specific on that, what that might practically look like. Write down the solutions as you go. Summarize each one after each section. So again, what I'm doing there, even if we get to that solution, we've gone, right, this will look like this, we're going to do this at home and blah, blah, blah. Great. Let me just summarize that for you and sense check I haven't missed anything. Right, what this looks like to overcome this is this, ... Have I missed anything? Is there anything else you can foresee stopping you doing that? There is. Great. Let's dig into that a little bit further. Again, we're not moving past it. It might not be the perfect thing on the first go, but I'm making sure that we are breaking things down. It is absolutely perfect for them to go forward with. Okay. And I would break this down into nutrition, accountability, education, movement, and support, because that's effectively what we deliver, isn't it? Yeah. And I smashed through so you wouldn't interrupt.
And ultimately, the last 2 slides are the example that I went through before. But yep. What you're taking as the majority of the barriers that your clients have are clearly surface level in terms of time. Because if someone responded back to me of going, what's going to get in the way of your goal? I'd be like, okay, talk to me a little bit more about that. In what sense? And then the next response is normally, well, I've got time. It's just sometimes I struggle to develop a routine. Okay, cool. So it's about more so around developing a routine. Okay, what would help with that? All we're doing now is breaking down the barrier. And then what we're trying to do is then move through that barrier with them, as if we're like armed around them, holding hands or whatever, and going, right, this is how we do it within the service and collaborate. What would help with that? Well, maybe if I had kind of set days that are trained and a set structure and some form of things to follow in the gym. Okay, cool. So some element of programming, things to follow in the gym. And talk to me a little bit more about that. In what sense from a routine perspective? Well, my nutrition's all over the place sometimes, so maybe some element of routine around there, because that's a big barrier of mine, knowing what to eat, when to eat, how much to eat. All we're doing there is breaking down barriers, but collaboratively then aligning the features of your service to marry up with what they're saying. So yeah, it was a quick example before, but hopefully it gives you a practical way of view.
And it's as simple as, when we're getting to this point, guys, we know what they want, we know why they want it, we've addressed the barriers, broken them down, come up with solutions in these 4 areas of movement, nutrition, accountability, education, support, so forth and so forth. So we've literally built the program out with them, and they are part of that process. So as we said right at the beginning, it's that collaborative effort, okay, between you two. And essentially, the only question they will ask at the end is, what is the investment? And one of the big things around this, right? One of the huge things around this is that, which we haven't addressed, which we won't go into too much today, but is your belief on you delivering the results. Now, hopefully, this isn't some generic thing that you've kind of broken down to fit the person of where they can afford or what they're willing to pay. It is exactly what they are collaboratively coming up with your support. And essentially, if there are kind of objections, which will happen sometimes, all objections is seeking to understand and helping that person overcome that problem. That's all it is, right? And 9 times out of 10, if an objection comes up, can't say anything now. Objection comes up in this process. Guys, tell me very quickly, what do you think hasn't happened? What do you think is missing? If there's an objection comes up, whether it's time, money, expensive, got to ask my partner, all those kind of standard ones, what do you think hasn't happened? Quick as you can in the chat. Not seeing the value. So what have we done? What have we not done there? We haven't broken down the barriers. We haven't made them a part of the process. Their belief barrier is still there, 100%. So that's one thing that's missing. What else would be missing if they still too expensive, got to take a partner, blah, blah, blah. What are the other things that haven't happened? Can you guys hear the rain? No. More often than not, that is the number one thing. Second one is you would talk way too much. So again, you haven't understood them fully, and you haven't positioned the right thing that's overcoming their challenges and barriers. Those 2 simple things are the reasons why people get to the end and it's too expensive. I've got to ask my partner. I'll go away and think about it. Yeah. So all that is seek to understand, first of all, unpack their concern, reframe the fear, and empower their choice. Ultimately, you're not coaxing people into taking action. You're not coaxing people into sell just for the sake of selling. They need to go away and think about it and consider things. Great. Brilliant. Yeah. Be confident in what you've positioned is going to be the solution to their problem. And wrapping it up, guys, some summaries. Remember, it's 80% them, 20% you. Goals and the why, break down the barrier, collaborate with the solution. And one of the biggest things I can say off the back of today is this is a skill. Like, I've been doing this for 25 odd years, and the first probably 9 years of this, I was an absolute bag of shite of it. I was terrible. you have to practice, you have to review. The guys in the academy will know this. We always tell the guys to record some of the calls and watch back, because you will pick so many things that you didn't realize you do. So practice and review all the time on these things, okay? And to finish up, any thoughts?
No, listen, it's a lot to take in, but ultimately, if you just break it down into what do I need to change? First one is probably how you're viewing it, more as car salesman instead of I'm having a conversation and just getting to know people. The second one is having a framework and a structure to stick to. So you've got an understanding of how to lead and guide the conversation over time. Third one is making sure that you're not listening to you're not listening to respond, and you're doing it to understand. And then off the back of that, you're having genuine conversations. And off the back of genuine conversations, you can zoom in and start to match your features as solutions to their problems. And that's the most powerful part of coaching, because A, you've got peace of mind. They're in the right program with the right service. The features meet them where they're at, not just features in terms of it's a check-in on a Friday with the same set of questions. They're now unique questions. They now have a structure for nutrition, a structure for their program that's unique to them. You have peace of mind that this client's coming into your service and going to get a result, which lowers down your probably perception of yourself in terms of worrying about asking for money and all of that. You're so confident that this person's coming in on the right program, right service, right price point. You're no longer feeling like you're selling. You're feeling like you're having a person join your business that's you're going to change their life, and so they should pay for it. So yeah, that's my final thoughts, and hopefully you got a lot from the session.
Cool, man. Awesome. Right, guys. For the guys that aren't in the academy, what we've done, because there's a lot to take in, we've just put a code and a link into the chat for you where you can just access some of our live calls, basically group mentoring sessions for free for the next 2 weeks. Just, we know this is a lot of information, and to kind of digest it, take it in, come up, opportunity to come on, ask us questions. You are all very welcome to take advantage of that starting from Monday. So links there, codes there, fill your boots. And what I will do to follow up, I will send, you've obviously got the document that supports this. I will also send out the recording for you all, and also the breakdown of the slides as well. Okay. Guys, I know we've overran. Blame man. Like, I was actually on time and perfectly timed then, but blame man. Any questions whatsoever on anything anyone wants to kind of bring up? We've got a couple of minutes. Or are we all sick to death of my monotone, brummy accent? Yeah. And you can come off mic if you need to. It's quicker. Are we all good? Give it a minute or so if you type in Lydia, all good, happy days. No problem, Emma. Tola, Nick, Diego, all good. Tola, all good. You never know if anyone's, can't see people typing, can you? See anything about this group chat. Okay, guys, I'm assuming we're all good. Cool, man. If you type in and I leave before you finish, I'll send an email out to you guys anyway. But well, guys, hopefully that's helped. And yeah, I'll ping an email out with the slides and recordings a little bit later on. Anything you need, just give us a shout. Okay. See you later.